start the show with a burp.
Yes, hello and welcome to the Earthborne Games podcast. I couldn't muster a burp out. Sorry, Fisher.
No, that's fine. It's probably for the best. We don't want to lose everybody in the first 10 seconds.
Too late.
Thanks for joining us again, all of you that have stuck with us all these episodes. I think this is like episode 21. Last one was 20, which kind of blew my mind. I think we've been doing this since February, if I'm not mistaken.
We're coming up on a year pretty quick here.
That's wild. That's crazy.
We're like a real podcast.
I know. It's been fun, and I just want to thank you all for listening. And joining me are the regular guys, Andrew and Andrew. And Evan is taking care of his baby tonight, and we forgive him for that. Do we not?
Yes,
oh, yeah, we absolutely forgive him for that.
I think he could have made it, you know.
He offered to make it, but like he is on solo baby duty, so like he would have immediately had to like run away from the microphone, you know, as soon as there was a cry.
He'd be too distracted.
Been worried about it the whole time.
Yeah, he'd just have one ear turned toward the baby monitor, wondering if that sound is a fussy sound or not.
Right. I've had episodes like that, I think, on this show. And and we've been doing this so long that my baby has outgrown that phase. So that's good. She sleeps all night now.
Oh, good.
That's a beautiful thing.
It is. She's like 12-hour straight sleeper. That's good. But anyway, we have tons of questions from you guys.
We asked for questions, and you all came through in spades. We have so many questions.
That's true. We really pushed it hard last time, didn't we? And there's a lot for me.
Yeah, we asked a couple times. Yeah, we've got a bunch for you.
And let's just get into them, hey?
Mm-hmm.
Should I start answering some for myself? Let's do that. We got one.
Yeah, we can just roll it from the top.
We got an interesting one from Peter on YouTube, and he said, "For Anders, what instrument are you playing in your band, and why is it bass guitar?" Now, that question kind of makes me laugh. I don't know if you're trying to make me laugh. Are you trying to peg me as a bass guitar player, or you somehow know that I play bass guitar? But I do play bass guitar in my band, and my band is called Love Lake, and a lot of the tracks are me playing all the instruments. So I play other things. I play drums and guitar and sing, but I do love bass guitar, and I'm a bit of a control freak. Not a control freak, but I'm really into bass lines. So I don't really trust anyone else to play those sweet bass lines that I love in music. So I play bass, and it's sometimes I got really comfortable singing and playing bass at the same time back when we were playing a lot of shows, but it's really taken some time to get back into that because, you know, unlike playing rhythm guitar, you're kind of playing a melody with your hand and singing a melody, two different things at the same time. And it's hard. But once you develop like a muscle memory for the songs, it's not so hard. But, you know, Paul McCartney did it. So did I.
Since you play a lot of different instruments, would you say bass is your favorite? Which one do you enjoy the most, I guess?
I do like playing bass a lot. I like playing drums, but I'm not very good at drums. Bass is fun because it's a little bit easier, I think, than learning a bunch of chords.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know.
I could
all
see,
music is fun.
I could see Andrew playing the drums. I know you don't, but I could see you playing the drums.
I play a lot of hand drums. I have a lot of hand drums at my house. I have a cajon that I really enjoy playing.
That box thing?
Yeah. It's really fun. You sit on it, and it's, you know, depending upon where you hit it and how you hit it, you get different sounds. You know, you can kind of tune. It's got a little bit of a snare in it. You can kind of tune the snare inside with the Allen wrench. I like it tight. I don't like it too rattly.
That sounds kind of fun because I enjoy drumming on my steering wheel in the car a lot.
Yes, and like it's perfect for that.
Like finding different tones, like the bass is like this part of the steering wheel, and the snare is like up on the dashboard or something.
Yeah, I highly recommend
that sounds just like that.
Yeah, I like. I also play guitar. I really enjoy playing rhythm guitar, especially like rock and metal rhythm guitar, because it's almost it's really percussive in its own way.
Rhythm.
So I really enjoy that. Yeah. Well, even in metal, there's a lot of sounds.
Right.
And,
Right.
That's really fun. So I have a question for you about your albums.
Yeah.
Founders. It's interesting to me that when you record, you on those recordings you're playing most of the instruments. Are you kind of like Trent Reznor to Nine Inch Nails, where you record everything yourself and then you get a bunch of people to come on stage with you and play the songs you recorded?
Yeah, I did that. The first album was all me, and then I got a band together and we played live. And then second album, I got a whole new band together and we rehearsed a bunch together as a band, and then we recorded it live. So that was a whole band thing. So there's not a lot of overdubbing. We wanted like a live band sound.
Yeah.
And then,
that kind of live vibe.
Yeah. And then the third album, the most recent one, is kind of a mixture of both. So
okay,
there's some that are just me, some are lives. Yeah.
Man, I'm super intrigued now. I need to go listen to your music.
Yeah, let's listen to it. Love Lake. I think it's good. I would recommend it.
I hope so.
I say that sometimes when I recommend my music, because I think a lot of people get recommended or they may know someone who has a band or has a music project. A lot of times it's not great, you know. Yeah. I think that my music could be, you know, popular if I were lucky, but I'm not. But I'm not lucky, and I don't assert myself that much.
Yeah, I think you should start outroing the show with Love Lake songs. We used at the beginning you were doing like a little outro music, and now there's it just kind of goes to nothing. You just do a little outro with 15-second soundbite or whatever from.
Okay, listen at the end of this episode for a song of mine. It may not be a Love Lake song. I have other songs too. Cool. Thanks for the question. And then there's one from Peter as well for Fisher. And it says, what's currently on your music stand in the background?
Oh, yeah. With Peter's questions, we're going to do an all musical intro to this podcast episode. Depending on the aspect ratio on YouTube, you can sometimes see a music stand behind me. It is the Bluegrass Fake Book. Let me see.
Bluegrass Fake Book.
So fake book's actually a term I think originally mainly came from a collection of like jazz tunes back in the earlier 1900s. Basically, people would have these cards from radio stations with jazz tunes written on them just for quick reference. And then jazz musicians would collect them in these books. And it was like the fake book, I think, because you can you can fake any song, right? Like somebody requests a song, you just flip through the fake book and find it. So this is the, borrowing from that name, this is the Fiddler's Fake Book. It's this big, thick book of just fiddle tunes, mostly Irish, but just all sorts of fiddle tunes. I grew up playing violin. My dad was a violinist. My brother and I practiced every day, 45 minutes a day, my whole childhood. Actually won some fiddle contests back in the day, but I don't play that much anymore. But I was
going to say you should play on a Love Lake tune.
I could give it a try. I'm a little rusty these days, but you practice for that much of your childhood, like it's kind of ingrained in you. You can always pick it up again. But yeah, I just occasionally practice. Sometimes I instead of meditating or something as kind of my break in the middle of the day, I'll just play a little violin to give my mind a break. So yeah, that's what's in the background on my music stand.
Sweet. And then Peter goes on to say, inspired by the thoughts on what music would be appropriate to listen to whilst playing Earthborne Rangers, I have a lore question, possibly for this podcast. What kind of musical instruments would be present in the valley? How much would technology play a role in that? Would there be electronic instruments, or is it back to traditional acoustic instruments? Is there an instrument visible on any of the card art? It's a good question.
That is a good question. We've thought about that a little bit, and there is one card that does have musical instruments visible, but they're very, very tiny, so as to avoid having to define too much what they look like at this particular juncture.
Yeah.
But when you look at them, it looks like, like a stand-up bass, maybe a couple lutes. So yeah,
I was going to say lutes.
Yeah,
I would guess
it's more. I think what more back to traditional stuff. Though I think it would be cool to do like some kind of weird evolution of traditional instruments at some point. We may or may not have a role or a specialty coming up that might take advantage of musical instruments.
It's a background.
A background, sorry. A background.
But maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's a mystery.
Yeah. Corrected on this mystery.
It's interesting to think about like instruments evolving into the future, because instruments haven't really changed that much in like thousands of years. We still play violins and trumpets and guitars.
I think it's more the form factor that I'm interested in exploring. Like maybe because of different materials they have, they might be able to be a little more ergonomic / artful with some of the designs.
Yeah.
Though, it's hard to beat a guitar, man. It's a pretty good looking instrument.
Well, really like the structural integrity of the Dolewood bark could lend itself to like doing some really interesting instrument forms that wouldn't hold up with normal wood.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll see. Yeah. More to come. But yes, there's one card that you'll be able to see some musical instruments in the core set.
Awesome. All right. Another question for me from Nikki. I added Love Lake to my playlist since I mentioned them on the last video, but haven't had a chance to listen yet. If I'm in the car with other people and need to explain in a few sentences what it's going to be like, what should I say? That's a funny question. Like,
that is a funny question.
Whoever does, okay. What I'm about
just
to
prepare
play,
yourselves.
It's going to sound like
have your mind blown.
There it is. That's the answer right there. I would just say prepare to have your mind blown. But if I were to change the question into what does the music sound like, it's a hard one to always answer. But then when I struggle to answer it, it makes you think that it's like something mind-blowingly unique, but it's not. It's just like, Beatles inspired kind of rock, melodic and quirky at times, sometimes very deep, sometimes silly. I think it's eclectic. Eclectic would be a good word for it. And melodic. Eclectic and melodic. Then your friends will say, I don't like eclectic melodic music. I'm not interested.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll love it.
Yeah. Well, that's just based on the introduction by him. Anyway, the next one. Another question from me. What's your favorite board? Oh, this is from D Cheds. What's your favorite board game mechanic and why? Well, first off, I had a period where I played a lot more tabletop games. I haven't in a while, so my answers are probably kind of dated. But I've always loved bluffing, the bluffing mechanic in games. I think because it encourages laughter and big outbursts of, disappointment and people getting angry at each other. I don't know. I just like games that kind of get the table acting wily. And some games I've enjoyed are Coup. Did you guys ever play Coup?
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. I like the simplicity of it. And Sheriff of Nottingham. Did you guys ever play that game?
Oh yeah,
that's a
classic.
fun bluffing game. And then there's this one called Chameleon. That's more of like a target game, and that one's a fun, like, what would you call a game like Apples to Apples? Just kind of like a family friendly kind of.
You call that a mass market game?
Yeah, a mass market game.
Party game. Yeah.
Party game. Yeah, Chameleon's more of a party game, and that one's pretty fun. Although have you guys played it?
I have not played Chameleon. I've seen the box. Box is cool.
It is. It's got good, simple art direction. But you do have to like really commit to a lie, and that is a little bit like one player is the chameleon, so you're kind of pretending you're something that you're not, and you have to like kind of improvise lying. I'm not so good at that, but it's fun to be the person who's not having to lie.
Yeah, I'm terrible at hidden roll games. I always, I don't know. I feel like when I get close to winning, either as the person who's, the target of the ire of the table, or I feel like I'm about to catch the person who has been, trying to cheat everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think my heart rate just goes up too much.
Me
and like
too.
my skin color changes and I start to get all sweaty.
So you're an easy,
and it never works out. And then I played have you ever played Secret Hitler?
Oh yeah.
No, I've heard of it though.
Oh, it's so good. It's probably my favorite in roll game. But man, just heartbreaking to have your friends just stab you in the back in that game. Oh god, it's so brutal. So brutal. It feels like it happens all the time.
I mean, it's kind of a stabbing in the back engine.
It is. I mean, that's you just you need to know what you're signing up for with that game. That's pretty much what it's about. But it's a lot of fun. I think I would also recommend to you, Anders, if you ever get an opportunity to play Skull. I think that's one of my favorite bluffing games. It's very
just spelled normal.
Skull. Yep, just Skull. It's very simple bluffing game, but it is, I think, a lot of fun.
Awesome.
It has that kind of Liar's Dice kind of vibe to it.
Oh, Liar's Dice is another one I love. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of got that simplicity to it.
Cool.
That just enough nuance to give it some texture to make it so you can just play round after round after round.
I can tell already that it's the kind of game I would like.
Yeah, I'd check it out if you have the chance.
And I'm sorry, Andrew, but I just was reminded that Marvel Snap has a lot of kind of bluffing elements kind of tied in.
All right. Buckle in. Next 20 minutes is Snap time.
Well, there's a Snap question in here. We can just wait.
Is. Oh, wait. What was the bluff? Because you're kind of guessing. Once you know all the cards, you can kind of guess what they might be doing. And you can kind of bluff and make them think you're going to go over here and yada, yada.
I do miss when playing games like Snap. I miss, I think it was Hearthstone. When you hover your mouse over a card in Hearthstone, it highlights up for the opponent. And so you can like almost simulate the bluffing of like being at the table with somebody through how you're moving your mouse.
Oh.
So you could like hover it over something, like if there's a play that your deck archetype would normally have, but it's not in your hand, you can like hover your mouse over the thing that play would kill to make them think that you're like sitting there thinking about killing it. And like you can totally, like get that kind of bluffing effect of like, of fiddling with your cards at the table or whatever, except through a computer interface. It's subtle, but I always thought that was cool.
That is very cool. I like that. Were you a big fan of Hearthstone?
I played a bunch of it when it came out. Though after Magic released Magic Arena, like the more slick kind of version of playing Magic online, I drifted more towards that.
Yeah. So you'd say Snap is the better game from that guy?
I have been enjoying Snap. The fact that you can play it so fast is really
a big win.
Gives it the edge right now. Yep.
Okay, one last question for me, and then there's going to be another one for me later on. Of the teams still left in the tournament, who do you think will win the FIFA Men's World Cup? That's clearly Brazil. And then next we got a question from Jared. From Jared.
Have you guys watched any of the World Cup? I haven't watched.
The kids.
I intended to watch the men's team play in the U.S. national team play in the elimination round, but they were already eliminated by the time I looked at the scores.
Like 2 World Cups ago, I was really into it and I liked it a lot. But the kids at the high school I work at, they're watching it constantly. I didn't realize how amazingly or how popular it was with kids. But it's very big. But I haven't watched it because I'm an American.
I've just been watching highlights. I have a friend who's really into it. But I mostly just get like, go watch this, go watch that, and I'll watch some highlight reels and stuff.
Yeah. None of us are FIFA guys.
No.
Sorry, D-Cheds. All right, next question from Jared. We have a lot of questions. Jared via YouTube. What keeps you up at night when it comes to Earthborne games?
Yeah, I saw this question. I thought... I'm sorry, go ahead, Anders.
Is the next part of it? Some people are...
I think it's a second. That's like a second secondary question.
Okay.
Not unrelated question.
Okay, go on. What were you going to say?
I was going to say that I think like the tone of this question, like, or the way it's stated, I feel like is kind of the antithesis to how I've been approaching my work with Earthborne.
Mm-hmm.
Because, at least from my perspective, when I worked at FFG, there were literally things that kept me up. like I'd go to bed exhausted.
Yeah.
Like I'd have to I'd get this like feeling like, oh my God, I have to go to sleep. And I'd like run upstairs, go to bed at like, 8:30 at night sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd wake up at like 3 a.m. and couldn't fall back asleep. And it didn't matter what time I went to sleep. Like I'd go to bed at midnight, whatever. I'd wake up at 3, 4 a.m. Just like full of anxiety.
Right.
And, being in that place was a big reason why I ended up leaving that job.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty brutal. So I feel like with Earthborne, there are things obviously that nag on me, like mostly just making sure we have enough money so that everyone can continue to get paid. But there's really not a ton I can control with that, so I wouldn't say it keeps me up at all. I don't think personally there's nothing that keeps me up at night about Earthborne, and I think that's great.
That is great.
So, yeah, I think it's just the way you approach the work and just trust that it'll be all right. And just do your best, which is I feel like what we all do.
Yeah. Fisher?
I completely agree with that mentality, and that like mentality behind the studio is part of what drew me to jump into this after I left FFG, and actually for and under a lot of the same reasons and conditions. I also was up, waking up at like 4 a.m. and just unable to fall back asleep, and so yeah, I really appreciate that like mentality and approach. That being said, I'm a very anxious person, so I still have lost sleep over some Ranger stuff, even though I shouldn't. I have primarily, overseeing a lot of the design and side of things. The things that keep me up are just like, wanting the game to be great, right? Like wanting all the systems to work, like being unsure if there is some like inconsistency or mistake that we missed in all of the hundreds of cards we have. Especially as we've been working with our foreign partners, and they have to be very exacting as they translate everything, and like they have the time difference, so they start working on, they start work and it's like 3 a.m. our time when they get into the office, and so messages are already piling up at 3 a.m. And I mute the channel and check it when I wake up in the morning, but like that's kept me up a little.
Literally.
But broadly, I definitely agree with that mentality, Andrew.
That's wonderful. And I sleep like a baby when it comes to Earthborne games.
As you should.
And also from Jared, some people are already saying that deck building your Ranger feels like indie RPGs such as Torchbearer. What can we look forward to in deck building Rangers and new or expanded aspects in the future of Earthborne Rangers?
Yeah, so I've not played Torchbearer, but I think I've mentioned before how inspirational the Burning Wheel was to the deck building for Earthborne Rangers. And I believe Torchbearer is similar to Burning Wheel. Are you familiar with Torchbearer, Fisher?
I'm actually not, no.
It's the same publisher, I think. I think it's the same designer, too.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm reasonably certain. People can correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I think that's awesome that people are saying that, because that's precisely what I was going for with the concept. So that's great. That's great. I think as far as what you can look forward to in the future, yeah, more options. So he says new or expanded aspects. I assume that doesn't literally mean.
Yeah, I don't think the game term aspects, just aspects in the English use. We will be giving more options. for new and different starting Ranger decks. But since our game is a campaign game and an ongoing game, we do also want to encourage people to take their decks forward. And so, that we will be doing some new starting options for Rangers. A lot of the effort's going to be going into new rewards and stuff to progress your current Ranger decks. And so I think as time goes on and you unlock all of our core game rewards as well as rewards into the future, you're going to find a whole new interesting deck building challenge just in how you manipulate your starting deck. I think our attention is going to both fronts, but I think we have a lot of exciting stuff in both. I can't speak to more specifics than that, but one of our designers, Devi, is testing some stuff right now that's pretty fun. So I'm excited for you all to see it next year or whenever.
Yeah, it'll be next year sometime.
Yeah, I think it'll be next year.
Of course it will.
Yeah.
All right. The next one comes from Meeks from Discord. I remember that the plan was for the expansion to be packed in some disposable box. Interesting. As you're meant to integrate it on the core game. Wait.
I think maybe in the core game.
In the core game box directly. If you are getting the Ranger card doubler, will there be enough space still for the expansion?
Yes. Yes and yes. There is enough room in the core set box to put your first expansion content and the card doubler content in there. The original plan was, hard to say it was a plan, but a thought was that the expansion and or the card doubler would come in a box that you would effectively just recycle and then just put that content straight into the core box. But in looking into inexpensive packaging options, they really weren't a whole lot less expensive than just doing a nice packaging option. And the fact that we ended up getting, so many foreign partners on board, and we'll have even more over the next year if everything goes like it looks like it's going, has made it so things like the doubler and the expansion, which I was originally envisioning as more completely direct to consumer products, will actually have to have a nice look to them so that they look all right on a store shelf. So the expansion, the Legacy of the Ancestors expansion now is it comes in a standard lid base box, same as the card doubler. The card doubler is big enough to the packaging is big enough to function as a deck box as well, so you can store your Ranger deck in there too if you'd like, or any excess cards you have. I don't know, maybe you have 2 doublers or 2 core sets. Who knows how many cards you have? You have plenty of places to put your cards. And the expansion, one of the limiters on the size of that box is the campaign guide that's coming in it. So right now the plan is to have a printed campaign guide that comes in the box, and that will determine the size. So our plan right now is to do it half the size of the core set box. So it'll be a little bit smaller booklet, but just as many pages. So about half the amount of content that's in the core game campaign, and then the cards will come in there. So while you can put everything in the core box, you can totally do that. You can also just store things, in the box they came in. That's fine. That is now going to be an option as well.
Cool.
Thus ends my symposium on packaging.
Oh, question well answered. All right,
Thanks.
Next question. We got like 20 more, guys. Bio 3.
That's not true. Oh, wow, we do have a lot more.
Well, I mean, we can cut it off whenever we want. So we can save questions for next time.
This is good. We're only half an hour in. Like, we're fine.
Yeah.
We're rolling through these. We sidetracked on music a bit, but we're doing good.
Exactly.
Let's keep it loose. We'll just chit chat throughout. As soon as it feels boring, we'll stop.
We'll keep it loose with this next question about the fiddly details of delivery and fulfillment.
Oh my god! I read this question. I was like, "Yep, that's a question for me."
Should we hop back to it?
No, let's
After
do
a
it.
fun question.
Let's just keep going.
This is a fun question,
It
Anders.
is.
This is fun.
Yeah, don't judge Bio 3348.
Bio3348 asks via Discord, how does delivery and fulfillment work? My example my example is I am a Kickstarter backer with the German version and the playmats and lore book. So I understand that the game is produced in Germany but fulfilled by Earthborne. So I was interested, where will the playmats be produced and how does such a project work logistically? Seems really complicated with different production locations and stuff to ship to Europe and stuff from Europe shipped to the US. Can you talk about this logistics stuff sometime in the podcast? I find this interesting. I'm glad you do, Bio. I am.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
So all this stuff is stuff that I've been working on very, very slowly, and it's in my what I've been doing is grinding toward the finish line on all this stuff. Manufacturing, I feel a little bit more comfortable with, but logistics, shipping logistics is something that I know nothing about. So I've been kind of describing it like, in all my time working at FFG, I was exposed to a lot of different aspects of the business. Obviously enough to feel like, I knew enough to be able to do this thing and take it all the way to the finish line. But the logistics fulfillment part of it, it's a thing I knew that happened over there, and I knew that what people's jobs roughly were and what they did. But it's full-time jobs for people to handle all of the logistics around manufacturing and then shipping. And
many full-time jobs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a lot more stuff than we're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
But I described it the other day as jumping out of a plane with a basic idea of what the parachute should look like.
and some reams of fabric.
Yeah. Here's these materials, just go. And that's really what it's kind of felt like to me. And yeah, it is complicated because we are printing things all over the place, though more and more things have moved to Germany. So that's exciting. So we haven't finalized it yet. Every time I've gotten good news on this, I've gotten bad news later. So I'm hesitant to say this good news out loud, but I will, and maybe it'll make it happen. Is that we finally found a company that could do our natural rubber playmats that we wanted. We found plenty of people that can do neoprene, but I hate neoprene. And I don't use that word very often, I guess. Maybe hate's too strong a word. I dislike neoprene.
What is neoprene usually?
It's it's that playmat material. So most playmats that you get, are you familiar with like card playmats?
Sort of.
Here, hold on one second.
It's like a mouse pad?
Yeah.
Like an old school mouse pad with a plasticky top?
Yeah, basically. Neoprene is just a synthetic rubber.
Yeah. It's like a mouse pad.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So neoprene's this garbagey rubber material.
Yeah.
Here.
Right. Yeah.
It smells like it came out of the anus of the earth. Actually, that'd probably smell better. It smells like it came out of a garbage pit.
Yeah.
Or you'd find a stack of old tires, and then roll around in it. This is what you'd smell like.
People wax poetic about new board game smell and new car smell. No one has ever waxed poetic about new neoprene smell.
It's worse. And I'm and I can just smell this right here. So these are samples that we got from a company that purported to be able to do natural rubber, and then they sent us these things on neoprene, and I was very disappointed. They still stink, and they've been sitting out in the open air for a while. So anyway, and then on the other side is almost like a polyester cotton blend that you print on. But you can get natural rubber on the back here, which is what I've been wanting to do. And I wanted to use Ulex, which is a type of natural rubber that is sourced from supposedly the only FSC certified rubber tree forests on the planet.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know if we're going to be able to get Ulex, but will be able to get natural rubber, which is better than neoprene by far. Feels nicer, and then usually the fabric on the face is nicer. So, anyways, we found a company that'll finally be able to do that, and they are located in Germany. So that's cool because I thought we might be having to ship those maybe from the States or even print them in China because it's all sourced in China. So it's like it's not a huge deal to print something in China if it's being sourced there already. So I thought we might have to do that, but we are now hopefully going to be printing at a company in Germany who's doing that. The lore book is being printed in Lithuania, so which is also not super far away. So most everything in the energy tokens, the deluxe tokens, are also going to be made in Germany. So the only thing that's coming from elsewhere is the miniatures, which are coming from the UK. So luckily, most of the shipping post manufacturing is pretty easy because you just put it on a truck and it goes. We don't really have to worry about any freight to our fulfillment centers within Europe. But then we will have to worry about freight for things coming over from Europe to the States. But luckily, all the manufacturers I'm working with seem like they know what they're doing and have people who they are recommending for all of these various freight tasks.
Wow.
But then, so I need to organize the freight. I need to organize the shipment from the manufacturer to the fulfillment house. So that's a separate company. And then we have fulfillment companies that we're working with. And we're working with Direct Link in Europe and either Quartermaster Logistics or Direct Link in the US. They're kind of neck and neck with the quotes right now. And I haven't really committed one way or the other. And then we're going with VR distribution in Australia, so we have to ship to them. Fantasia is doing all the fulfillment in Italy, so they're going to be getting a shipment. And then I think we're probably going to be going to Spiral Galaxy in the UK. So yeah, there's a bunch of different fulfillment centers to coordinate with, get all those deals signed, get all that stuff figured out, and then obviously make the game and ship it to them and get everything in time to fulfill hopefully in March, which is our goal. But everything will be held up by whatever the slowest piece is. So right now it looks like everything should be converging in a very fortuitous way. So hopefully that holds. But yeah, it's a lot, let me tell you, and I'm learning a lot.
And we haven't even touched on VAT, which
stop. Well, that should be done. That should be done. I have an agreement that I looked at again yesterday and asked a question, but I'm inches away from signing that agreement, and we will have our VAT number within the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Cool.
Yeah.
We don't have.
So there you go, Bio 3348. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found that interesting.
That was pretty good. You know, we don't have a lot of questions this week, so I just thought of one on my own just now. I was curious. Do you know, like, what is the percentage of pre-orders or Kickstarter backers that are non-US versus US?
I don't know the exact percentage. I would say it's about a third.
A third is outside of US?
Yeah, a third's outside of North America. Most of our backers are in the US and Canada.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it's super cool. And then the bulk of our print run is staying in Europe because we have a bunch of European partners. So I think I've mentioned it before, but it is in kind of a roundabout way fulfilling what I hoped to do for the game, which was to have it be produced where it was sold. And the majority of it, that is true.
Yeah, sounds like it. All right. Next question from Virgint Admin. What is the easiest way to learn the rules of Rangers? Read the whole rule book, or do you have a quick start sort of introduction?
Oh, that's a good question. Right now, and for the demo, the best way to learn it will be the rule book. We've put together the rule book in very much kind of like a learning guide kind of way. That I think does a pretty good job of kind of teaching you the rules. And then we also have our prologue that kind of helps ease you in, though you do need somebody who has read the rules before you play through that. It does not teach you the full game, merely kind of helps you with deck building and helps you ease you into the concepts. But one of the things that Corey has started working on, and I'm helping him with, is we are also going to be doing some rules teaching videos that we'll have on the website before launch. And ideally, this will be the optimal way to do it. We're doing some research on how other people approach it, and I think we're going to kind of break it up in a really interesting way that'll make for easy reference or just learn first time learning. And so I personally, I'm a big like YouTube watcher and stuff. So I think and I hope that when we're done, the videos will be the best way to learn the game. But I having wrote most of the rule book, I do stand behind it as a way to learn the game as well.
I think it's a great rule book. I would say, as always, the best way to learn is for someone to teach you.
That's true.
That is always the best way, but that doesn't help the first person, of course.
Right.
I can be the first person. I can start teaching people here in the Twin Cities, and then you all travel out, and we'll kind of spread it. Very grassroots teaching of the game.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun to do, actually.
Like oral tradition, board game rules.
It'd be awesome. Yeah, I'm all for it.
And Virgint Headman has a slew of questions here. The next one is, how is technology viewed in the Earthborne world? As a savior or a necessary evil or somewhere in between?
It's a tool. Yeah, it's just a tool. It is neither savior nor evil. Just a tool. I think the distinction I feel between technology of today versus technology of that you'll see in Earthborne, at least in the stuff we've made thus far, is that they have some pretty sophisticated technology, but where our technology today, will, like, for example, it might like look at the particulate matter in the air, and then it'll give you a readout of what's in the air. But it often goes a step further, and then an AI makes some kind of suggestion to you on what the right course of action is to do with the data you've just received. Or you don't even get the data. The AI just makes the determination based on past information, based on past data, and all sorts of stuff that says, oh no, this is what you should do with the information we just gathered. In Earthborne, you would get all the data, but then it stops there, where now it's just up to the person who has that data to then do something with it. And additionally, like all the kind of more physical tools that exist in the world, they're all intended to be they're intended to be extensions of human effort. So they all require human effort. There's no like push button technology in the world. You have to use it as a tool and interact with it and manipulate it and learn how to use it. Use your brain. That's the difference, I think, between today and then.
Well, and there's a lot of technology in the setting that once did not fit with that description, right? Like our modern world led to this far future world, but that technology isn't really in use anymore. A lot of it is just either gone, decayed, or part of the world, right? And like one of the big themes we explore is that question of, these massive world altering things, can they even be considered man-made anymore? What is man-made? What is natural? In a world that has been so transformed by human intervention of the past. And so like, I think a lot of that, like, what is technology versus what is nature, is a core theme that we're trying to get you to think about and make decisions on yourself as you're playing through the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. How do people of the Valley view bicycles? And and other non-polluting forms of transportation.
They're fine with it. There's really
Well,
no
I mean-
like pollution shaming or anything.
They hate they hate bicycles in
Well,
the
I
valley.
mean, they probably aren't huge fans of bicycles.
Second
I mean,
class.
like, have you ever tried to ride a bicycle on a mountain path? Unless you're
Yeah.
a really good mountain biker, it's difficult.
Yeah, there's no bicycles. We have like a weird thing called a pin crawler, which is like a multi-legged kind of vehicle.
Hmm.
But and we also have like these Memlev floating platforms. You'll see Ren Kobo, the merchant. He has a little floating platform that kind of follows him around. So they're cool with it. Everything it's all good.
But they don't exist
But
anymore.
No, they do. Yeah, but I think it's again, it's like people like to get out there and exercise. So
Yeah.
anything that might be like a vehicle is like it's not. They can like go like the Swift, for example, or the little like hopper glider vehicle. Like those are pretty rare and only used in extreme circumstances typically.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't really need to go that far. It's not like you
Yeah.
know, living in the U.S. where you have to drive half an hour just to go to the grocery store.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So a bike might be perfect for that. Or
Yeah.
the grocery store.
Well, again, like maybe out on the salt flats or something. Bicycles,
Mhm.
but maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, totally.
The future bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
All right, back to me. From this one's for me. What are your top 3 favorite Snap cards? That's Marvel. Have you guys heard of Marvel Snap?
No, tell me
I'm
about
not
it.
familiar.
Well, it's kind of this underground little card game. Okay, my favorite. I haven't really. I have a lot of cards, but there's some I've neglected. But my favorites are Dracula currently. Dracula takes on at the end. If you play him at the end of the game, he'll absorb the power of one of your other cards.
That's classic Marvel character.
Dracula. There's some characters in there that I've looked up, and they're actually just like such minor characters, like Infinite. It's like this card that has like 20. It's a really cool looking character, but it's like one of the first cards you get, and it appeared in like 4 issues of Marvel throughout time.
I just unlocked, what is it, like Hell Cow?
Yeah, Hell Cow. I love that one. Hell Cow. I know that one made me laugh. And then Mr. Negative, but Mr. Negative is one of my other favorite ones. And then Odin is a classic. And I had something else I was going to say. Oh, I was going to say I can't wait till we are having these kind of discussions about Earthborne cards.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
People asking, what are your favorite cards? Mine is Ren Kobo. Is he a card?
He's great. Yeah, he's great.
He is, and he actually. So he's not a card you can put in your deck, but he is pretty good.
He is one of my favorite cards. He's great.
He's nice to have around.
Won't it be fun to have these conversations? And then
Yeah.
Andrew, you won't have to read a book while we talk about it. Maybe I'll be reading a book because I've not played it yet still. It says, have you tried Smash Up? No, but my friend was comparing that to Snap, so I should probably check it out. Have you played Smash Up? You guys?
Yeah, I have. A long time ago, though, like right after it came out, maybe it was like 12 years ago.
Is that like a player versus player game?
Yeah. So there's a bunch of different decks that all kind of follow classic tropey archetypes like aliens or cowboys or whatever else, and then you take 2 of these decks and you smash them up. So you're playing alien cowboys this time, and they released lots of different versions with lots of different things. But it has a kind of a similar to Snap, like area control kind of mechanics to it. But it's been a long time, so I can't really go into more detail than that.
Cool. If there's no Marvel characters, I'm not interested. That's why
They might have done a Marvel smash up at one point. I don't remember.
Yeah, something makes me feel like they did, but
I don't even care about Marvel very much. But I do not. I like them as cards in a game. I like looking at the art.
Oh yeah, they for sure did a Marvel smash up.
Oh,
There's a
did?
Marvel everything.
Huh.
yeah, there is a Marvel everything.
Yeah. Andrew, I lost your video. You're there?
Oh, you did?
Yeah, you'll come back. You see him, Fisher?
Yeah, I see him.
Okay, that's just me. My bad internet that follows me around. Okay. All right. I think that's the final question for me. And we have just a few more questions. Next one's from Matt. And he asks, if I show up at an event and have 2 to 3 hours to play a pickup game of Earthborne Rangers, what will that experience be like? Will it be like the Vertical Slice demo? Will there be special missions? What will that be like, you guys?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the core game experience is just our campaign play. That being said, like people who already have a campaign underway, I think you'll once you start playing the game, you'll see how easy it is to just have some other people jump in for a game, try it out, and you can even play. If your members of your campaign are there, you're playing it solo or somebody else, you want to add on a couple people for one session. You can totally do that because of the changing player counts and stuff. That being said, we do plan on giving tools for people to play kind of one-off sessions. So you could kind of play something a little bit like the Vertical Slice or the TTS demo that we're going to be putting out. And that will be, like probably either pursue one mission or kind of explore the world and help some people out over the course of just like a day or two if you're fast players, and play for a couple hours. But that kind of broader question about playing a event, Earthborne Rangers at an event type situation, we've been kind of mulling over that question and thinking about other ways that we can approach some extra content for people that could answer that question in fun ways. I can't speak to it exactly yet, but I think we have some cool ideas in that space beyond just these kind of one-off sessions you'll be able to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned playing the campaign because I feel like, excuse me, I feel like that is probably the best thing to do is in a 2 to 3 hours if you want to play a pickup game is just pick up wherever your current campaign is and gives either I would maybe just have some decks ready to give to people if you have a limited amount of time so they don't have to take the time to build a deck, or if you have 3 hours then that's plenty of time, but I would just have them, like you mentioned, just jump in and play your mission with you. I guess maybe unless you're in the finale or something, that might be tough.
Yeah, that would be a little brutal on your poor guests. But no, when I was doing one of my playthroughs, I was showing the game to some friends, and I had originally planned on just being like, well, let's just set up the game, like my current playthrough, and we'll play it. And I had planned on just throwing away that session and replaying that session by myself, right, for the playtest. But actually, like, it went so well and was so fun that I just kept it and kept rolling. Also, it was nice because one more day down, trying to get this thing done for playtesting purposes. But like, I fully planned on throwing out that session and just reverting back to where I started. But like having some visitors just added to the experience, and my story continued just fine. And so I just kept the results of the session.
Sweet. Okay. This next question is I don't know if okay. Ro asks, if you could be a character in a movie, where would you see in which one would you guys see yourself, and what role would you play? I tried to think of it, and you guys, did you think of something?
Something came immediately to mind for me.
Oh yeah, go.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Indiana Jones. In any of the only three Indiana Jones movies in the Indiana Jones trilogy of movies.
You'd be short round.
Archaeologist exists. You could, from everything Sam tells me, she says it's just like Indiana Jones. So. Exactly like that.
That's what I thought. It'd be pretty cool to be Indiana Jones, maybe without all the murder. He does kind of get his ass kicked a lot, so that might be a little painful. But it all works out in the end, so that'd be all right. That'd be pretty awesome.
I would be Dracula. Just kidding. in the movie, in Marvel's Dracula.
And which depiction of Dracula, like Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Just the Marvel Snap version of Dracula. Let me think. Fisher, go. Do you have
Well,
one?
I was trying to think, because here's the thing, is like, you know, there's all sorts of movie characters you can imagine yourself being and stuff, but movies have tension because things usually go horribly wrong, right?
That's
So
true.
like most movie characters I wouldn't actually want to be. I was trying to think of like, is there a good movie character who just lived a long, happy, and peaceful life? You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was like thinking a little bit like, you know, like Bilbo kind of has that, but like the ring kind of hangs as a specter over it. Um, the couple in Up kind of has it, but then, you know, the whole like how sad that is at the end is kind of sad. Like, you know, the fact that they can't fulfill their goals of travel is a little sad. So like I couldn't quite put my finger on, like I was looking for a movie character that just lived a happy idyllic life and I was going to choose them. But
Okay.
it's a little hard.
That's good. I like that. When I was 18, I felt like I connected with the dude from The Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
And he had a zany adventure, and he lived in the end, right?
Yeah, he was all right.
That dude was all right.
Abiding
and he
in the
was
beginning.
chill
and the
about
end.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to think he's a cool dude.
That's such a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, I'll be the dude. Fisher is the old man from Up. Who are you?
I couldn't choose. I didn't manage to choose anybody
Sounds about
successfully.
right.
And Andrew is Indiana Jones. Or are you short round? You didn't say which character you'd be.
No, I say Indiana Jones. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I wanted to be Indiana Jones.
Isn't that the name of the little
Short
kid?
round?
Yeah.
Yeah, the little kid.
Yeah.
Short round. Great.
He's
name.
great. He's very small. You cheat very big.
I loved him when I was young.
And that actor just recently, he didn't act for most of his life and recently made a comeback. He
was great.
In, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, okay.
He was so good in that. And I
He
didn't,
was
I didn't
really
realize
good.
that was him until after the movie was over. But he looked familiar. Okay. We got 2 more questions. The next one, Cosmic Hero 42. I'm planning on playing Earthborne mostly with my wife, but possibly introducing some friends at a later date. The tutorial sounds excellent. How would you recommend onboarding new players? Running through the tutorial with them or walking them through deck building? Did we kind of answer that already?
I think so. We did a little bit.
A little bit.
I would say that that you combine those two, because running them through the tutorial will also walk them through deck building.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say if you are, the person who is familiar with the game, taking them through the prologue is a really good way of bringing them on board. At least, that's, I wrote it with that intent. So hopefully it's a good way of bringing people on board. But I think it was written in such a way where, it introduces concepts slowly and gives you manageable, it lets you play with your deck as you build it. So when you first start out, you have a very limited set of cards with not a whole lot going on in them, and then you add more and you add more. So it kind of increases the complexity as you play, and it also has some nice little interludes with the fiction where it'll onboard you to the world as well as you're playing. So I hope that will be the best way to bring new people on board, especially if you already know the rules. But if you know them really well, then you'll probably get to a point where you find your own best way of explaining how things work.
Yeah, I generally agree with that. That I think, obviously we created the prologue with the intention of onboarding people. So, we recommend that as the way to bring people on. Some people are exceptional teachers and may take other approaches. But this is the best tool we can give you to kind of help bring other people on board. If you're already in the middle of a campaign and bringing somebody on, I'd probably recommend actually maybe don't dive them into like the entirety of deck building. I'd recommend maybe maybe ask some high level questions and then give them a deck based on that. Um, you'll kind of see certain cards are a little more straightforward, and I like to use those for newer players and give them that, and then like just kind of let them kind of contribute as you're playing through the game. Is kind of another way if you're doing that more in the middle of your campaign kind of intro experience for somebody.
Very good. Okay, our last and greatest question comes from Darren. I don't know why it's the greatest. I just said that. But Darren is a super fan. We get him a lot. And Darren says, thanks for releasing the rule book and for having most of the Rangers starting cards in there. I spent most of my Thanksgiving holiday crafting builds. That's awesome. It's like I'm already playing the game while I wait for it to be released. This question came up as I was thinking about Ranger decks and character growth through reward cards. How will that work with Shapers, which seem to be much more specialized than the other specialties? Are there manifestations you can get as rewards?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. So for people who don't know, the Shapers have special cards called manifestations. They're kind of like our spells, and they need very specialized training to be able to use, and they need what's called a conduit, which is this device and focus for the Shaper's intent. And so, in game terms, you need to have this special device and you need to have these manifestation cards. So they're harder for other people to use. So yes, there will be manifestations that you can get. But the Shaper is going to be a harder deck to progress than others because of that very kind of specific niche. It's one of the prices you pay for abilities that other characters don't have access to. Shapers can tinker with parts of the game that other characters just don't get the chance to, and can do some very powerful things as a result. But one of the downsides is they're just harder to pull off, like that kind of cohesive synergistic build. You're doing some zany things, but you're going to have to do some more advanced tricks to get there than other characters.
Cool. And he also asks when I'm going to be streaming myself playing the tabletop simulator demo of Earthborne Rangers. I don't know. Sounds like fun.
Could be soon.
Yeah. So the plan is to have the TTS demo live by the time that this podcast releases.
Whoa.
I mean, like, it won't be a shock to our listeners if we release it before the podcast. If it hasn't released yet, it will be any moment. So be excited.
Cool.
But so we could do it next time. We could teach you the game and have you play as our next podcast if we wanted to.
Sweet. That sounds great. Tune in next time for that, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Andrew? Should we do we want to do that? Or...
I'd like to do like I've been saying, I'd like to do that in person. I'd like to try to find a way of setting up cameras around a table and microphones.
That'd be cool.
And playing. Yeah.
That'd be great. We could probably do that. We'd just rig an overhead one. We could use phones even. So
yeah, I think that should be our goal. We should. We'll task Corey with setting that up,
producing that. Yeah. Okay. That's when you'll see it, Darren. Okay, thanks for all of those questions, everybody.
Yeah, that was something.
That concludes listener questions. Please don't send any more next week.
No.
Just kidding.
Keep asking.
Keep asking questions. Yeah,
keep asking. That's the bulk of our show, so keep them coming.
There may be all sorts of questions because the TTS demo will be available. So.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, you all kind of asked me about things apart from the game, so ask these other guys some stuff like that. Ask them about their I don't know.
Ask about the albums that we make.
Yeah, ask about their albums.
I made one album.
You did?
I did. Yeah.
I sure hope someone asks about it for next week.
My brothers made a bunch of
That's
albums,
cool.
but I don't know if they're appropriate to promote.
Oh yeah, you talked about them before. They're the like Blarney Stone Band or whatever. Aren't they like
Stubby Shillelaghs.
Yeah. Andrew, what did you do in the album you made in college?
Oh, it was an album that I made on my dad's. He had an 8-track recorder.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. So it had 8 different tracks and just recorded it on a like a cassette.
Mm-hmm.
And I was home. I was home for the summer, trying to get a job. Couldn't get a job, so I spent the entire summer just playing the guitar in my parents' basement.
Oh.
And then started getting ideas for songs and recorded maybe like 10 different songs. They're like rock metal stuff.
Did you
and
name
some yes, it was called Sift
by you, by Andrew Navarro.
Yeah.
Sweet.
You can't get it. I have it on like a disc in a book somewhere.
One disc. That's all that's left.
Yeah, I used to have it on cassette. I I laid out, this was in 1993. I laid out the like the insert for the cassette, and then like we took it in and like color photocopied it, and then put the the lyrics on the other side.
Fun.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I don't know if I still have that anywhere.
I hope you do.
It was fun.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Works. Do you want to talk work?
Yeah, we can do some quick work stories.
Let's check in with you guys. Fisher, you want to?
Yeah.
ahead?
We already touched on some of mine, which is the TTS demo is either already available or shortly available. Sorry about the delay. We said it'd be available at the end of November, and we came in a little late. Just getting stuff ready for the core set took priority. Got to make sure that stays on track, and the demo comes second. But yeah, I hope that you'll be really happy with it. We kind of took an approach. People who played the vertical slice during the Kickstarter will see a lot of similar elements. We explored a similar area of the game, partially because it makes a good introduction. It's a nice little open area that we can cordon off. It's earlier in the game, so it's not spoiling things too much. And we thought it would be pretty cool for people to be able to see how the game has changed since the vertical slice, and kind of see where the game came since then. So I hope you enjoy your time with it. I'm excited to see people talking about it and asking us questions on Discord. We played around with a couple of things in the environment. Recording this early, it's a little weird because I'm hope they're working. We tried this add-on for these memory bag things where to kind of help with card management and stuff. So I'm excited to see what people think of it once it's in your hands. Other work stuff, as I mentioned, we're getting started on rules videos with Corey. Corey's going to be kind of working on how we teach the game via video, and I'm obviously helping with that because of my experience with the rules. And then, unfortunately, Luke, who is working on Legacy of the Ancestors now, did come down with COVID, and so we had a slight pause on that, but he's feeling a lot better and diving back in on that. So we're starting back on some Legacy of the Ancestors development and hoping to be testing that stuff after the holidays. So overall, it's going pretty good. I'm feeling really good. The last couple times we've talked on the podcast about work, I've felt very kind of crunched because we're, barreling on the end. We have all these partners translated in the game, and it's just constant juggling of all these different versions of the game that have to be, all proofread and quality controlled and stay consistent with each other, and coordinating all that was a lot of work. And we're basically, mostly past that at this point. We have some residual stuff, and there'll always be other tasks, but it already is feeling like a bit of a weight lifted, and I have the ability to focus on other parts of the project, which is very energizing. So
that's awesome.
Going good.
Sweet. And how are you doing, Andrew?
Pretty good. I mean, to Fisher's point, we're at like today we were doing our final review of the files, something that we used to do back at FFG, where we would print things out and then kind of just do like a last look, last call for anything that we might find. So Fisher and Evan and I got together at a local coffee shop and hung out for a few hours and did that work. I got through some of the stuff. There's so much stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But we've spent a lot of time looking at it. So like, we had a discussion about like, could we actually do this for all time and never find everything? Probably. But it felt really good to be at this. It feels really good to be at this stage where, we're on the eve of getting everything into manufacturing. It's pretty exciting. And yeah, like I mentioned before, just grinding toward the finish line, trying to get everything lined up for manufacturing and fulfillment and all that stuff has been a huge grind for me. It's really challenging, especially when there's other things, creative things that I have to do to try to get up the energy to do that stuff. It's a personal challenge. Speaking of personal stuff, like I've been working on a lot of personal stuff, not personal like projects, but like the personal project that is Andrew Navarro. I've been working on that a lot this past month.
Yeah.
And it's been really good. It's been really positive, but it's required a lot of energy and a lot of time and effort, and it's really poorly timed because there's a lot of work that needs to get done. And it's been really, really difficult for me to prioritize work on some days because I just have a lot going on in my personal life, which is, I think, some kind of like karmic retribution because I've spent the last 2 years like focused almost entirely on work. And it's just, I think I burned that candle a little too far. And now it's just I don't know, let me mix my metaphors a little bit more. And I think it's starting to like the scales I think are starting to be tipped more toward, hey, maybe you spend a little time on yourself. But like I said, it's pretty poorly timed because we're at the very end, so it's been tough. So speaking of which, like I'm really behind on customer service responses. I have it's been almost 2 weeks since I've sent any emails customer service related, which is pretty much the longest I think I've gone. I've gone a couple times this past year or so, waiting 2 weeks to get people responses. But so if you're waiting for a response from me from the InfoAt account, I will get to it as soon as I can. But I'm very much behind on that. But overall, I feel good, even though I'm kind of buried at the moment. It still feels good
because you're helping yourself, and that's important.
Yeah,
and the fans,
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Good for you.
Thanks.
I'm doing that as well.
Yay.
Life is big and hard, isn't it? we need to turn inward sometimes.
It can be big and hard. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's small and flaccid.
That's it. Okay, you beat me to it. All right. Anyway, stuff we're into. Big hard life. Okay. I've been playing this game. It's a little known game.
Little indie project.
Little indie project based on this property of like superheroes and shit. It's like a card game. Anyway, I've been playing that still, and that's all. I just play that every chance I get. I'm really obsessed with it. I think it's top 20, top 50. I don't know, maybe 20 games. But this is one of those games where after the like, the thrill is gone, I realized that I don't really like it that much. It just was like really good at getting its hooks in me. So we'll see if it like stands the test of time. But
you haven't snapped out of it yet.
No, I haven't snapped out of it. But I almost I see it happening a lot. I'm almost there.
Yeah,
but then they give you new cards.
I know what you mean. It's like honeymoon phase a little, right? Like you could feel that it probably won't be a forever thing, and more just like, how long is this like gonna keep my attention.
But they keep the cards that I keep seeing are very interesting and change
Yeah.
things a lot. So if they keep that kind of cadence, it could be a forever game. We'll see. Like, yeah, I'm like wondering, is there going to be just like thousands of cards eventually? Like, if it's that popular for that long, could be. Because they're already diving into the like tiny characters, as I already said. Whatever. Okay, I'm also playing. I've also been enjoying when I go to bed at night. I've been going to bed very early, getting into bed, and I use medicinal substances at night to help me relax and go to sleep. If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I love just having my little vape pen on my chest here, you know, just going at it until I get sleepy, and playing Vampire Survivors on my Steam Deck. It's a great
just a
end of
nice
the day.
peaceful game of
It's so
just chaos.
It's not, but it is kind of peaceful. You're just one thumb is just moving the guy around, and it is peaceful. But you're right, it is
No,
chaotic.
yeah, I can see that because a lot of it's automated, right?
Yeah, you're not like firing or anything. It's just dodging. That's a good game. It's like one of the top selling games, like month after month. Probably because it's like $3 or $4. Have you guys played it?
Yeah,
at
it's
all?
like no, but I'm vaguely familiar. So it's like a single stick shooter because it's like a twin stick shooter, but you don't actually shoot. So it's only the movement stick, right? And then otherwise, it's kind of a progression treadmill, like a idle game.
Right. There's a few games like this. There's SNKRX, Snake RX. Did you guys ever see that one?
No,
I think it's way better. It's really cool. But basically, that one was like a combination, like roguelike and Snake game, almost like the Snake screensaver. You like control, and it auto fires. So every time you complete like a wave of enemies, you choose an upgrade, and it's another like projectile or a AOE thing, whatever. It's a cool type of game. I don't know what you'd call it. Auto battler, bullet hell arena. I don't know. It's a good little simple game. Also, Death's Door is a good game. Been playing that, and I did buy Red Dead Redemption 2, and then I saw that the file size was bigger than my memory card on my Steam Deck. So
that your Steam Deck can possibly hold.
Yeah. So then I ordered a Black Friday like new micro SD, and of course, because it was so cheap, it's coming from China. So I'll get that January 4th, and then I'll play. I think that's a good time to start playing Red Dead Redemption.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, that's all I've been doing.
Nice.
Sweet.
How about you, Fisher?
If you enjoyed Death's Door, by the way, I don't remember if you've played. Have you played Tunic?
No. Oh yeah, I've tried it. I haven't really gotten into it though. You like it?
Tunic was kind of what I wish Death's Door was. Death's Door kind of felt a little more simplistic, and Tunic had the like more sink your teeth into it adventure that I was hoping for.
Oh yeah, more like a Zelda.
Yeah.
I like the looks of that one too. Death's Door, I like the simplicity of it. It's hard. The Souls-like aspect of it. Anyway, Fisher.
So yeah, on my side, stuff I've been into lately, games wise, I kind of had this period where I was like, oh well, there's not a ton coming out, so I think I'm like gonna branch into a game I'd been meaning to play but hadn't, and so Persona 5 has a Switch version, and I picked that up, and then immediately like Warhammer 40k Darktide came out, and God of War came out, and all these other games came out, and I was like, clearly I just wasn't paying attention, and now I have too many games to play. But but I have been kind of continuing on Persona, and it's this like people speak so highly of the series, and Persona 5 especially has this just amazing style and soundtrack and stuff, and so I wanted to give it a fair shake. I've been really liking it. It, as with a lot of JRPGs, it really holds your hand aggressively. And like I could see all these systems, like these time management systems that they like clearly wanted to give you all this freedom, but like didn't give it to you at all. They just hold your hand for a while. And then, at the moment I was like about to give up on it and be like, clearly this is just a linear game. They let go of your hand. And like I almost got shock from it because like it went from like you have no choices to you only have 2 time slots every day and there's 20 different things to do. Be optimal.
I know, it's so stressful.
And I was like, do I study or do I hang out with my friends to increase our bond?
With your friends. Yeah, you got to increase.
Yeah,
the
I mean,
bond,
I did
man.
hang out with my friends.
Yeah. But that has to be tied to your various personas so that you can maximize those bonds.
Yeah, that's one area that I still haven't fully wrapped my head around is like, I can equip all these different personas that have entirely different move sets, and then I can like kill them to merge them into a new persona. And it seems like there's this whole like Monster Farmer Pokemon style like collecting and breeding game, but like I don't know enough about the game systems, so it feels entirely arbitrary still at this point. Where it's like, all right, well, I have this move set of all these different elemental attacks and this move set of all these elemental attacks, and then I can kill them both to create a whole different move set of different elemental attacks. But really, I just want the list of ones that the rest of my party doesn't have. So anyway, I'm still learning. I'm sure some of you more experienced players are shaking your head at me right now, but I'm still kind of learning the ropes right at the end of the first palace. So.
I think the Switch, I think, is the way to play that. I bought Persona 5 pretty much when it came out on PS4 and played about 40 hours of it and wasn't even near to probably halfway. Like I was like, man, I don't think I have the time to really play this game. And I stopped right about then. But it felt like to me, because of the setup that I have, that a portable version would be better because then you could just kind of lounge around in comfy places and kind of poke at it a little bit and set it down, as opposed to like sitting down in front of the TV and playing. Which that
was kind of my hope when I saw it was on the Switch. That's what really convinced me, and it's really stylized, which I think does well on limited hardware.
Does it run all right?
Yeah, it actually runs great. I mean, the graphics have aged a bit, but like all the UI stuff holds up perfectly, right? Like, still looks great.
Cool. Yeah, I'm often tempted to download it again and try it again, but then I think of all of the thing you just described, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that again.
Too many games. All games should be like 2 hours long.
I actually, I used to love long games, and I've come to appreciate short games. I
short
do really
games
like a short game.
I like
a short hike.
I prefer long games personally.
Do you? Well, good, because we made one.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I like games that I can sink my teeth into. Like,
I played Portal for the first time.
Oh, nice!
Ooh, that's cool. Game.
I really loved it.
That's great. That's a short game.
It's short. Yeah. I loved that about it. And then I tried to play Half-Life for the first time. That
Half-Life 2 or just
the first one.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it feels really gross. I did not like it.
There's a fan remake called Black Mesa that might be a better thing to check out.
I just wanted to get into it because I liked the lore that was starting to kind of come out in Portal. I was like, I want the full story.
Play Half-Life 2. It's
just
phenomenal.
go right to it? Just
yeah. You don't need to play Half-Life 1.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you could watch you could watch a 5-minute YouTube recap of what happens in Half-Life 1 and then just go into Half-Life 2.
Half-Life 2 is so good.
Okay,
yeah, it's very good.
That's what I'll do. Yeah, Half-Life 1 is not even supported on the Steam Deck, so there's a lot of like weird things you have to use. You have to use like the mouse
ironic
trackpad. I know. What, like their first game? Is that their first game?
I don't think it's their first
big game.
It's what they really hit it off with.
The Portal was amazing. I loved it, and I started Portal 2, and that seems okay.
Yeah,
I can see what you're saying though, Andrew. You said last week that you like Portal 1 better.
Yeah, it's better. It's the superior game
because the mystery is still there. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's more charm, I think.
Yeah.
Though Stephen Merchant is funny.
Yeah, I did like that.
He is funny.
The other thing I've been up to is, I didn't actually write it down here, but I so I had all this footage from when I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and I'd kind of meant to put it together in a video. I'd like talked to somebody on Fiverr for a bit about doing it, and then he kind of ghosted me. Um, and so finally, with this, feeling like I have a little bit of room to do side projects these days, I on Sunday, I was talking to some friends about potentially having them edit it, and then some people suggested that maybe I just give it a try myself. So on Sunday, I sat down and edited all my footage together into like a kind of 10-minute YouTube video about my climb. And actually, the process of editing together a video was really fun. It was cool to like grab little bits and cut them together to kind of tell a story that the original footage didn't quite put together. And it's still very amateurish, but if you're curious to see a video about my Kilimanjaro climb, it's on my YouTube channel, which is A Fisher Games.
We should put a link. We should put a link in the description.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, we can put a link to it. So check out the description for a link to my Kilimanjaro video.
Sweet, that's cool. We will do that, and we'll also talk to Andrew about his things he's been into.
My things?
That's my best transition of the show, I say.
Smooth.
I watched the finale of Andor a couple weeks ago, and I thought that was great. I loved it. I really enjoyed the Andor series. I think, cool. Yeah, it leaves a few plot threads dangling there. Just enough, I think, to take you into a season 2. But I think if there wasn't even a season 2, I'd be pretty satisfied with how it ended. I thought it was pretty phenomenal. I think easily the best Star Wars thing that's happened since that video game, the
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that was great. And then this and Andor, I think, are the things I've really enjoyed so far of Star Wars. And for Disney Plus, I feel like it is easily my favorite Disney Plus series that I've seen. It was just really good. I think the pacing of it, I think some people might, I don't know, maybe people think it's too slow. I think there were some times when it gets a little ponderous. But for the most part, I thought it was fantastic.
It generally feels like they basically made, at least so far, like the first half is very distinctly like 2 movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so it's like a 3-episode arc is a very distinct story. And so that second episode is just kind of this weird, like it's not doing setup and it's not doing resolution. It's just kind of in the middle, right, of this arc.
I think episodes like 4 and 5, I think were kind of like, there's not a whole lot happening. I can't remember exactly. But
I think 2 and 5, like the middle of each little like mini movie, like it just didn't feel like a satisfying episode because it's like they're just moving the pieces around to get ready for the but I totally agree with you. It's funny because you and I had that conversation. We had a conversation about like what we wish Star Wars TV was more about, right? Like taking it away from the main characters, slowing it down, more deliberate pacing, seeing parts of like corners of the setting, and like Andor like hits the ticket of what we were kind of talking about wanting to see.
Totally. Yeah. I love how it really gets into some of the locations too, like the cultures there and the people there. And I think the greatest thing about it is that it actually takes the time for you to care about the characters. It takes the time for you to like establish their relationships with one another. You get to know them a little bit. Mm-hmm. They grow and change, and they have problems and make good decisions and bad decisions, and they all feel very human. It was great. I really enjoyed it quite a bit.
They do that thing where there's a couple villains that you accidentally start rooting for.
Yeah, totally.
You're like, oh yes, they got that thing they wanted to accomplish. Wait, the thing they wanted to accomplish was super evil.
Yeah, the villains are pretty fun. One of them gets, I think, a little clownish at times, a little one note sometimes, but she's still pretty cool. There's one dude in there who's a villain, but he's super weird. He's such a weird person, which I think I like them both because they're so weird. They're weird people, and they're villainous at the same time.
I gotta watch this.
Yeah, you should watch it. I've also been doing a lot of youth basketball. My son Sam is in traveling basketball, which I don't know if I've talked about.
Well, you've been watching a lot of youth basketball. You
watching
haven't been participating.
No, I've not been playing. Yeah, that'd be maybe a little more fun. No, it's pretty fun. It is pretty fun. But he has practice 2 nights a week, and then one weekend day is all basketball because we do. So he does a tournament. So this past tournament, they finally they play 3 games each tournament, and the result of the first game kind of determines which bracket you go into. If you lose, you go to the loser's bracket. If you win, you go to the winner's bracket. So the first 2 tournaments, they've lost the first game and then won the second 2. So that means they're like the best of the loser's bracket. But then this last, it's still, it's better than they were last year. They went 1-2 in pretty much every tournament they played in last year, and they've been 2-1 so far in all their tournaments this year. So that's a pretty big turnaround. But this last tournament, they they won their first 2, so they got to the championship game, which they lost, but they came in second, which was pretty awesome.
Nice.
So that's been fun. Played Catan: Dawn of Humankind with my family again a couple times. That was with the boys. I played with them, and then we all played as a family. And I've been dominating.
Okay, yeah, I was just going to ask if your kids had finally eked out a victory.
No, not yet. No, Sam. When we played over Thanksgiving weekend, he was in a pretty good spot. He was like he had an interesting strategy. He was kind of like rushing to exploration to get a bunch of early points, and but he did that at the expense of not creating little settlements. So I just beat him on resources, and then came back in the end, and I beat him like right before, like the turn before he was going to win, and that was pretty painful. So I had to console him a little bit. But he came out of it all right.
I'm sorry I crushed you.
Yeah, I felt.
I hate this game.
I
hate you,
bad.
Dad.
No, he was just upset because he was so close. And then this last time we played, man, I crushed that time. Like I just went from 0 to 60. No one's trying to beat me on my own strategy yet. Just make settlements and get all those resources and do whatever you want.
We've got to get your family to do some good old fashioned collusion and work together to dethrone you here.
I'm all for it. I did not feel good about winning this last time. I was like, oh, I guess I won. Oops.
It's lonely at the top.
Took me by surprise.
Yeah.
And we also played Dixit, which was really fun.
That's a good game.
Yeah, Dixit is a really enjoyable game, and Sebastian won the first time around that. But we played twice around the track, so I won lap 2.
Would you call that a party game?
Sure, yeah, I'd say it's a party game.
Probably.
Yeah, totally. And I've really been enjoying the new Metallica song that released a couple days ago.
There's a new Metallica song?
Yeah, called Lux Eterna. Yeah, they're doing they have a new album coming out in April. And a few episodes ago I talked some yang about Metallica. And since then I've felt bad about what I said about them not caring.
What'd you say about it?
I said that like if you want to hear what faking it sounds like, listen to new Metallica.
Yeah.
But then I listened to some interviews with James Hetfield, and then I felt really bad about what I said. So
seems like a decent guy.
Yeah, he's cool.
I listened to some old Metallica recently for the first time. Yeah,
nice. Which one?
Just some of their first couple albums.
Nice.
And I was into it. Usually,
Kill 'Em All is a fantastic album.
I didn't like that kind of music when I was young, but now it's hitting the spot for some reason.
Nice. Because it's good. The new song's pretty awesome. I enjoyed it. It's it's more on the rock spectrum, but it's called Lux Eterna, which means eternal light, and it has a little bit that's very similar to Hit the Lights from Kill 'Em All. So I feel like it's maybe like a sequel to that song in a way.
I definitely see what you're saying about it being a little more rock.
Yeah,
I'm listening to it right now, and it's
yeah,
rather than
good.
metal.
Yeah, it's it's like a hard. It's more like hard rock, I would say.
Yeah.
It's on the hard rock side.
Which is
but
kind
it's
of
got
what
some-
they-
a little bit of punk to it.
Which is kind of where the direction they went in the late 90s, right? Well, it's
Yeah,
kinda
yeah, more or
alt
less.
rock.
It's effectively from load and unload forward. Well, and then they
Reload,
did
yeah.
a bunch of weird stuff. They did Saint Anger, which was weird, and
That Lou Reed thing.
the Lou Reed thing, yeah. And then the last couple albums have been a little bit more metal-ish, with some pretty cool riffs and a couple songs. But nothing really grabbed me. But I really like this song. I think it's really catchy, and I enjoyed it. So if you haven't checked it out yet,
Are you listening to it
recommend
right
check it
now,
out.
Fisher?
I am.
I can see it in your face.
They just got to the solo here.
and it's short. Yeah, it's like a 3-minute one, 3.5 minute, made for radio.
Solo? Oh, the song in total.
The song, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a short little 3-minute solo.
And that's it. That's what I'm into.
And that's the title of the show. Awesome.
That's better than the other notable title of the show. So
Oh, the big and life
Big
is
and hard. Big and hard.
big hard
Life
life.
is big and hard.
Big hard
no,
life.
no. Let's go with the solo one.
Short little 3-minute solo. Okay. I know we were not supposed to talk about the title of the show in the show, but we done did it.
Too late.
No one's listening at this point anyway.
Everyone's listening.
No, they're staying for your music, Anders.
Yeah.
My music. I got to remember that. There's so many
Yes.
new music. We're going to link to your Kilimanjaro video. We're going to title it. Anyway, thanks. This has been a great show, you guys. And thanks again for all your questions. Send us some more. People who've thought about asking a question but never had the guts, just do it. Did you see some of these stupid questions that these people asked this week? Just kidding.
Be nice to them.
No, you guys know me. I'm just teasing you. All right. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Aaron.
Bye.
Bye-bye.